You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Rosé
and Sonia Tapley.
Hey mamas! Today we're talking about setting practical goals and manifesting for the new year. Got lots of tips.
Lots of tips.
And tricks. Right up our sleeves. That we just learned this year.
Yeah.
Well, no, some of them we've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy.
Mamas, I love a full and silky texture in my face creams because they feel so healing and comforting to my dry, thirsty skin. Well, the award-winning, best-selling, lightweight moisture release water cream by Honest Beauty called Hydrogel Cream refreshes and cools my skin on application and leaves a dewy finish. As I mentioned on the Hope-isode, Kathy's story, I love mixing Hydrogel Cream into my foundation for a healthy-looking glow. Infused with jojoba and squalene to help hydrate and soothe thirst, plus 2 sizes of hyaluronic acid to help soften and firm, reducing the appearance of fine lines. Honest Beauty's Hydrogel Cream will provide a beautiful glow for very dry skin. We're leaving the link below in our show notes. Drink up, mamas.
Mamas, I want to have rosé all day, have fun, and let myself live a little without feeling drunk or feeling hungover the next day. So I treat myself by adding rosé tinted glasses to my sparkling water or lemonade. If you're like me and you're looking for calm daytime energy while feeling alert, present, and uplifted because, well, you know, you're a mom now. Adaptogenic and antioxidant-rich ingredients make rosé tinted glasses from Apothecary great for those battling feelings of stress and looking to curb signs of aging with improved skin tone and moisture. Its tincture format makes it easy to drop wherever you're making it. It's perfect for busy working moms, busy stay-at-home moms who are looking for mood and energy support on the go. We're leaving a link below and in our show notes. So cheers, mamas!
We need a sound room with some cute, fluffy couches.
Facebook Marketplace and see if anybody has a shed that they're trying to sell, like a she shed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we should doll it up, put a little electricity, and obviously it would have to be hooked to the internet. We should make our own studio in our backyard or something.
I feel like, yes. Let's add to that. We should make, remember I sent you videos of like campers and stuff,
Oh,
like
yeah,
RVs.
that would be super cute.
Yeah, like that way we could have like a traveling studio.
That would be so much more efficient.
Guys, do you want geriatric mamas on wheels? do
I
you
do.
want us traveling to you?
I do. I feel like
We can go on tour.
be like main foodies and be like, guys, we're eating a lobster roll right now.
Oh my god.
You
Now I want a
would be.
lobster roll. I really haven't had a lot of lobster since I've been home. Like I haven't had any actual lobster. I've had 2 lobster rolls. That's it.
You know what's good for like winter lobster too is like a lobster pasta if you go get like
Oh, like lobster ravioli and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's
And
really good.
One time I made and I sent it to you guys, but it was like a scampi, buttery corn, and I don't remember what else. But yeah.
So good. Now that I'm starving, and like one of my goals for next year is every year is to get my shit together when it comes to health and food and
Yeah, forget the lobster. I mean,
Yeah.
lobster is fine. We just don't need the rest of it.
lobster itself is fine, but like it's the butter, it's the mayo, it's the all the goodies, like all the salt, it's all the stuff you add to it
Right.
that like just
Yeah,
isn't cute.
probably not.
It's not cute
It's
after.
good for June. Anyway,
So today, now that we're like literally drooling at the mouth thinking
Yeah.
about butter and salt, we are going to be talking about practical goals and manifesting for the new year. So
yeah, let's get this kicked off. I'm excited. I am
Yeah.
ready to get rid of 2024
oh my god, yes.
and start with 2025. So this is going to be a really fun episode.
Looking back at last year, I really thought I was doing something with
Yeah,
that
with the
sage,
sage, you were
and
like-
it turns out I was pulling a bunch of shit to the surface, and it all revealed itself. And I can't say it was an amazing year. It was probably the worst year of my life,
Yeah.
but we're just gonna set it on fire again. This time
we're gonna really set the intention with the sage, but I guess that had to be done first. So
yeah, it did.
Baby steps.
Yeah, I got us some like really good sage this year.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, found this like super cute metaphysical shop in Portsmouth called Deadwick's Ethernal Emporium.
I think it's
Emporium. I think I'm saying that right. It is the cutest. I've been to like so many. Like, I don't want to say I've been to so many, but I've been to several. A few in Texas, a few in Portland, and this one is just like super cute. So definitely want to go again.
Yeah.
It's just like adorable, and they had like a bunch of different kinds of sage bundles, and this one is black sage for deep cleansing. And I'm like, oh yes, this is what is happening right
Watch
now.
out, Southern Man. You're
Oh,
all
yeah.
gonna get hit.
Loaded up on some healing crystals. I'm feeling just all energized and ready to go.
Oh, I can't wait to see all of the crystals and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. We need to go.
So, we're gonna kick this off with a whole list of things to get started with manifesting for the new year. By establishing what goals you feel like are gonna be practical and what you really want to theme 2025 around as far as goals go, and write them down. Include specific scenes that describe what you'll be doing, who you'll be with, and how you'll be feeling. Super important.
The feeling part is really important because
Very.
that's a really big key with manifesting. It's one thing to just like write it down and like have like a picture of it in your head and visualizing it. That's great, but that's just part of it. You also need to like actually feel, okay, like what is it going to feel like? What if like maybe like your goal is to get a new job, but like think about how would it feel to get that job? Pretend you already have that job. How would you feel right now?
Right.
And you should feel excitement. You should feel energized. You should feel a wave of like, and if you feel, and if you feel that, that means that you are feeling what that is, and that is when manifesting actually works.
Yeah, and you're gonna hear that a lot throughout this episode, I feel like, as we get more and more into the whole way of doing the thing, of making the goals happen.
Look at us, the worst follow through ever, and now here we are, a year over.
Episode 77.
We're going into year 2. Wait,
So we're
oh my
going-
God, we're going into year 3.
Yeah.
Of this podcast, which is crazy to think of it like
Right.
that. And we're talking about how to ensure that y'all have some follow through with your goals.
Right.
Like, look at us.
Yeah.
Just look at us.
We had to do the math.
Look at us.
So crazy. So Jess had the fabulous idea of writing goals on the bathroom mirror. You can also do this with affirmations. Writing them down on the bathroom mirror help with goal, remembering them, and your affirmations. Practice gratitude. Consider what you're most grateful for in your life, because that always sets your mind up in like the right, what's the word I'm looking for? It gets you in the right mindset.
Right headspace. You're
Yeah.
positive. You're happy.
Right.
You're in a good
Exactly.
energy.
Yeah, a good time to do this too, I feel like, is at the end of the day when you reflect on your day. Like, think about what you're most grateful for each day, and then you can kind of start to see a theme as the days go by. Use affirmations. Positive statements can help you deal with negative feelings and situations. I was watching this YouTube video with Barbara Cochran, who's on Shark Tank, and she was talking about how affirmations have really helped her in her success, because when she was younger, she didn't have a whole lot of self-confidence, and she would even feel what basically is like imposter syndrome, is what she was describing. She would like have this internal dialogue that would tell her, Barbara, you don't belong here. Like, this isn't for you. And then she started telling herself, turning that around and telling herself she was amazing. And that's all it took for her. And she can even do that to this day. Like, if she starts to feel a little less self-confident, she'll turn it around and say, Barbara, you're amazing. And then all of a sudden she just feels so good about whatever it is she's doing. It can be as simple as that. But, you know, obviously we know affirmations can get real deep. So take it where you want to take it. Create a vision board. This one is so fun.
This is fun. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah, you and I are air signs, and we're both very creative and very visual. So, like, the act of cutting out clips from magazines, or, you know, like, even just, like, seeing a postcard come in that looks, you know, whatever, and, like, popping that on your vision board is just so fun.
Things that just, like, are aesthetically pleasing to you, things that bring you joy, things that make you happy, things that you aspire. So, like, if you see that, you know, white picket fence, dream home, put it on your board if it's something that you're aspiring. If you see this tropical beach getaway or a beautiful island that looks so beautiful, and you're one of your goals is you want to travel more, put that on your board. So it's just a lot of fun. I just picture us with like a bottle of wine, stack of old magazines. Let's just get into it.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
Next one is you can also create hidden boards on Pinterest that you can keep to yourself, or you can invite your friends to take a look.
I have so many hidden boards on Pinterest for this very reason. I love vision boards so much. So I love that's essentially what Pinterest is, really, when you think about it. And pretty much everything in my boards I have manifested in some way. Like, I even have like a baby board. I was like manifesting all kinds of stuff there, and I have a few other secret ones going right now. But yeah, I love it.
Another one is alter negative self-talk. Be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and how they impact your experiences and actions.
I actually, on the way here, I was listening to the Being Her podcast, and one of her most recent episodes, I think it was like a few weeks ago, she was actually just talking about this. So it's funny that this one just came up. Is she was saying that, like, when you have negative self-talk, a lot of times it's your brain trying to protect you. So it's your brain saying that's probably not going to work because XYZ. And so she said when that happens, because you can't necessarily like control when it happens, it's going to happen. So instead of just sitting in it, give it 5 minutes. Give it, like, let yourself have that for 5 minutes and say to yourself, brain, thank you. I know you're trying to protect me right now, and I really appreciate that, but I'm going to give you 5 minutes to say what you need to say to me, and then I'm going to let that go. We're going to table that, and we'll revisit that later. And you're just going to shut it down and move on to think about something else and start thinking again. And eventually what happens is you, like, the negative self-talk starts going away. It's like less and less. But I thought it was a really cool, because like we're very visual, and to like think of it like that, it's like, I know you're trying to protect me. Thank you for that. But we're not going to stay here right now. I'm going to choose not to think about that. So let's just move on.
And also, you know, we're grown women, and while we appreciate the protection the brain is trying to offer, we also have tools and ways to manage things that might not be the best.
Right.
You know, that maybe in the past we couldn't. Okay, so next we have a morning routine. It can help you manifest your goals. And yes, for sure, I love having a morning routine, but it's definitely fallen to the wayside recently. I have like a general routine, and I really hope to be able to get back into a good routine. I think one of the last ones that we're going to mention is going to help with the morning routine.
Yeah, I'm craving some kind of routine right now.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to say about this, because I'm just like, yeah, I agree.
Go figure it out.
You gotta figure it out.
Morning routines are really important. Giving yourself time in the morning as well as part of your morning routine definitely helps with manifesting goals, that's for sure. Next is inspirational books, podcasts, and movies like The Secret and the Mel Robbins podcast, etc.
Even Being Her.
Being Her.
Jay Shetty is a really good one. Love following him. And he's not bad to look at, so that helps.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think of any other ones that are like super motivating like that, but definitely Being Her would be a good one. And then another one is start following and liking posts from bloggers and social media accounts that inspire you and align with your goals, so that your algorithm gets the memo and floods your feed with reminders. This one's really good. It like automatically does it.
Yeah, that's why it's like there's nothing you have to do. Literally all you're doing is following content that you enjoy seeing, and then the more you like it and you like share it, the more of that you're going to get. I have a problem right now where I send a lot of fucked up shit to people. And so my algorithm is all over the place. It's kind of terrifying, to be honest. So I have some cleaning up to do, but it's just so hard when something like that's just like so bizarre and creepy but hilarious pops up. I'm like, oh, I gotta send that.
Yeah, gotta do it.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm's like, oh, okay.
She loves it. Let's give her more.
Yeah. It definitely gets the hint really quickly of what you're into. And to the point now where my Instagram has taken over a lot of my Pinterest activity. Like, I don't spend as much time on Pinterest unless I'm specifically planning an event.
Yeah.
Now I'm like right into Instagram because there's just nothing like Pinterest when it comes to events.
No, yeah, I'm the same way. Whenever I'm looking up recipes, I go to Pinterest. Or if it's like you said, like an event, a birthday or something like that, go to Pinterest, make a board, figure it out.
Yeah. Set alarms on your phone for things you want to get done, like taking your vitamins, going for a walk, drinking more water. Another one is practice the 5-second rule to help you get out of bed. Now, this is the one I was talking about earlier that might help with the morning routine thing. I need to remember this one by Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule. Can you explain it?
Yeah, so it's basically like, so the way that she explained it, one of your things is like you want to get out of bed in the morning. You're not a morning person. Let's say like you want to start working out early in the morning before you start your day because it's your only time to work out. And you're like, oh, but like I hit snooze on the alarm, and you keep hitting snooze, and then you miss that window that you would have had to go work out. So the 5-second rule, basically, she was inspired by it when you think of like a rocket ship and they count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the rocket like short launches out. If you're in like a room of a bunch of kids and they're all being rowdy and teachers will be like counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the whole room gets really silent. And so she looked into this because she's like, why does this happen? And there's a science behind it. And basically, when you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your brain anticipates the next number and it doesn't really pay attention because it's just on an autopilot and it's like whatever. But when you count backwards, it disrupts that wave of like autopilot or whatever. I'm sure there's a better, more eloquent way of saying that, but whatever. And it makes it kind of like trip up a little. It's just like if you're trying to sing the alphabet backwards, you need to pause and think about it. You're like, Z, Y, like, you know, it's like what? So it gives you a little bit of like a pause, and there's just something about your body that just kind of like stops and then listens. So she was saying when she wanted to start getting up earlier in the morning, when her alarm goes off, she didn't hit snooze. Instead, she goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then launch yourself out of bed like a rocket, literally like sat straight up. And she said what was so interesting was that like she actually got up. Like it was like she mentally, you have to have a lot of self-control to like be able to do it, but it's a very interesting concept. Definitely check her out. We've talked about her before, but when I truly practice it, it does work for me. I need to be better about doing it because it is good. It's like, okay, I want to go get like a snack. I'm like wanting something salty. It's like, take a pause, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you really need to be getting that? Do you really need to go into the kitchen and get that? Instead, why don't you go get like a handful of olives or a pickle or like, you know, something else, a substitute that's salty, that's not going to be a bunch of like fatty carbs, you know, that are going to not look cute on your ass. Although I could use a bigger ass. So I wish I could just like direct. It's like if I'm like, okay, Chip, I want you to go to the left cheek. And then this Chip, you're going to go to the right cheek. And then these fries, you can go in my boobs. Maybe I'll manifest it. As I'm eating my carbs, I'll manifest where it's going. I'll visualize.
You're going to clap it into place.
Yeah, I'm going to visualize my body morphing as I eat into the appropriate shape. That I desire.
Exactly.
I'll let you guys know how that goes in about 6 months.
Can't wait to get more into visualization.
This episode of My 600 Pound Life starring Jessica.
She is perfectly proportioned.
I totally just went off on a tangent. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Nobody listening has like any eating disorders, but we are 1000% kidding here. I don't want to trigger anyone.
I mean, it's America. Like everybody has had an eating disorder of some kind at some point.
we
in
are.
their life. So
She's not wrong.
no.
All right, so the next one, moving right along, is perform a ritual. You can try a feng shui ritual to attract money, love, and good luck. I didn't know you could do feng shui for money, but cool.
I didn't know you could do that either. I always thought it was just for like good energy and
Yeah.
like healing and
Yeah.
positive vibes, but all right.
For example, you can meditate while holding white quartz near your heart and then walk through your home with burning cinnamon incense. You can also try the prosperity ritual where you bless a bowl of coins outside of your front door for everything you want in the new year. And we also just did a whole episode on getting rid of the energy from 2024 and then blessings for 2025, basically,
Yeah.
which is a great episode about rituals and stuff like that. So definitely check that out.
All right, so next we're going to talk about manifesting pregnancy and the new year or any time of the year. The Secret, author Rhonda Byrne, answers questions from readers in a series of videos called Ask Rhonda. In one video, Rhonda is asked about IVF and how to manifest pregnancy. Rhonda discusses the best practice for manifesting your desire is by focusing on the end result. In this case, having a baby in your arms, rather than thinking too much about becoming pregnant where there might be resistance. Let's play the video.
All right.
Amanda was going through IVF, and I think last week I talked about, focusing on, not to focus on being pregnant, but focus on having the baby in your arms. Just getting pregnant out of the way because there's too much baggage around it. And just imagine the baby in your arms and focusing on having the baby in your arms. Hear the baby, smell the baby, feel the baby. And just stay with that, okay? And you will find that makes you feel really good. Whereas if you think about trying to get pregnant, you probably don't feel very good because you've got resistance around it.
She's so pretty.
She is so pretty, and that color on her is
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah. I actually did this and because I read that too, and she's so right. If you think about just getting pregnant, there's so much negative there connected to it because
Right.
the struggle that you've been going through. It's like, how do you not think about all the stuff
Right.
that could happen
Right.
versus picturing that sweet baby in your arms.
Yeah.
You can't help but just feel happy
Right.
and excited
Excited.
and overwhelmed with
Right.
joy when you do that. So
Cortisol just melts away.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for more information on manifesting pregnancy as well as better health for yourself, get Rhonda's book, The Secret to Love, Health, and Money, a masterclass. We'll leave the link in our show notes. Hey mamas, are you someone who's 35 plus and struggled with fertility, endured a miscarriage, experienced heartbreaking fostering or adoption challenges, or were perhaps flat out told by a doctor that you will never conceive naturally, and despite the odds, eventually found your happy ending by becoming a mama?
Send us your story at geriatricmamas.com. We would love to feature your journey to motherhood on a future Geriatric Mamas episode.
So this next one I am so excited about because it's all about visualization, which is, it's an extension from what we just talked about, but it's so powerful in so many areas. So I heard this quote from a book called Courageous Dreaming about bringing a vision of your ideal life into reality in the waking state. And this is what it says. Athletes don't envision the medal. They envision themselves successfully playing their sport. I know it's different for pregnancy and IVF, but there's a lot of detail around that obviously can be envisioned. But specifically for athletes, they're taught to envision themselves successfully playing their sport. I grew up with athletes in my family, and I was also a ballet dancer, so this quote resonated with me so much. It's not something that we heard growing up. It's not even something we heard about until after my brother's Salt Lake City experience for the Olympics. He had continued on actually after being in the Salt Lake City Olympics, and he was going to try for Italy. Now for the Salt Lake City one, they didn't have a sports psychologist on the team, but when they were all moving on to trying to get to Italy Olympics, they had brought this sports psychologist on, and my mom was telling me about it, and she was saying that they help the ski jumpers envision successfully completing their jumps. And that is supposed to help them go longer, go further, and just basically keep their body in the right form all the way down the hill. And I had never heard of it before. However, it brought me back, this whole quote that I had read and my mom talking to me about this brought me back to an experience I had in ballet when I was 10 years old, and I still remember it really well. I started doing ballet when I was 3. My grandmother owned a dance school with a lot of successful competitive dancers, so when I was 8, she wanted me to start competing as well, and she gave me a solo ballet routine to practice daily at home. We lived far apart from each other, so she basically like taught me the routine. I stayed with her for about a week, just memorizing and getting it down the way she wanted it, and then I took the tape home and was supposed to practice it like all day every day during the summer, yada yada, and I had my routine down. By the time the competitions came, I knew it inside and out. But every time I would get up on stage, I would completely freeze and forget everything I was supposed to do.
Ugh.
As soon as the music started, my brain went blank. And so I was basically just like flitting around the stage, like twirling and like trying to hit some moves that I knew the judges needed to see. But it was ridiculous because it didn't go with the music. It was awful. And then one night before a big competition, I fell asleep envisioning myself doing my routine perfectly. And it had never happened before. I had never envisioned myself doing it. I was just practicing. But it had been a really long day of traveling and exploring New York City. So I was beyond exhausted and clearly had the competition on my mind. And as I was envisioning myself in my dream, I was actually moving around in my sleep, and I fell off the bed into the final pose of my routine. I had basically done the whole routine perfectly, and I fell off the bed and landed in my end pose. And my grandmother was like scared to death, like, what just happened to you? Are you all right? And I was like, I was so excited because I was like, I just did my routine perfectly in front of the judges, and then like I realized I was actually dreaming. And it didn't happen, but
Damn.
I know, right?
If only they saw
Can I
this.
get a do-over with the judges? So the next day, when it was my turn to go on stage, I felt extremely confident, and I performed without forgetting a single step. And since I had been practicing the same moves for such a long time, I had really perfected them. My vision was of me successfully completing my routine, not winning a medal. When it was over, I was just happy to have remembered to hit all of my steps, and then I won the competition. Right?
Yay!
So after having that experience, I don't think that there's any doubt that using visualization in a strong enough way to create belief and emotion, and then putting yourself into the scenario to actually achieve your goal and your vision will result in success.
Yeah, I 100% agree and believe that for sure.
But we're really just putting this into like our lives now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think without realizing it, I know for me, like I have really been manifesting things like
Yeah.
my whole life without even really like realizing that's what it was and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this falls into it, but you know, in high school, when I would be studying for a test, I used to like put my notes to my book under my pillow because I believed that my mom told me this and I believed it. And I still to this day will do this because it's like, if I know that I need to like learn something or memorize something, I put it under my pillow. And then it's like all the words from my notes, I visualize all the words from the notes going up into my brain while I'm sleeping. And then that way they all kind of copy over and then I have them in my head.
Yeah.
And every single time I've done that, I've aced whatever test I try to take just by doing
amazing.
that. So like that is a form of manifesting
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I'm telling myself that's what it's doing
Right.
and that's what it ends up doing.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think visualization with the emotion that you need to feel
Yes.
is so powerful.
So another example, so if you take work presentations, if one of your goals for 2025 is to be more confident presenting in front of people at work, add visualization into your preparation time. Prepare your presentation, review the information a few times, try to predict questions that might be asked or any pushback that you could receive, and then visualize yourself successfully delivering your presentation and confidently answering questions. I actually say this to my candidates. I'm a recruiter. In real life, I'm a recruiter. But I actually say this to my candidates all the time. I'm like, I give them like example questions to prepare for interviews. Like these are commonly asked questions. Literally practice yourself answering these questions in a mirror and like literally start thinking about like, what if they ask you situational questions? Start thinking of different situations that you've come up with or whatever. And every single candidate that's done this has come back to me, been like, oh, I felt so much more confident. I felt so prepared. I felt so, so yeah, this is a really good one.
It definitely boosts confidence and makes you feel comfortable. So last year we went through our personal goals, like every single one of them, and the podcast one. We had so many good ones, but like,
yeah,
I don't think that they were all, like, not all of mine were super heartfelt.
Yeah, I think mine were definitely, a lot of them were pretty superficial, if I'm being honest.
They were very surface level.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but I think I've definitely reevaluated for 2025. And I think, I have at least 7 that I've already written down, and I'll probably have to whittle that. I'll probably have to narrow it down just to make it really meaningful. But I think a couple of the ones that really I'm feeling super passionate about are around parenting with Annabelle. She's 3.5 now, and she's learning so fast, and she's becoming a little girl so fast. So I've kind of had to quickly like circle back to the kitchen, reevaluate the situation, and try to figure things out a little bit differently for a 3-year-old brain than what I was before. And I Googled one day parenting for high energy children. Like, how can you best support a high energy child? And she's not always high energy, but she definitely has this witching hour between 5 and 6:30 p.m. where she's just like crazy energy.
It's how Hayden has just moved into that phase. So it's fun. We're here with you.
I've got your back.
It's cool.
I've got you.
I wasn't sure if I was going to be here, but I'm here. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. She made it here, folks. There's this book, after I Googled, I was like, I read this really awesome blog post by this woman who had read this book called The Whole Brain Child, which helps children learn how to integrate their emotions with their logic. So I know we've spoken about before how children are born with all of their emotions, but they weren't born with the ability to control them. And that's where we come in. Well, what this really means, according to the book, is that they were born with all the functions of their right brain, because their right brain is controlled with, or represents basically their emotions and their feelings and their, like, even physical touch feelings, those kinds of things. Your right brain controls that, and then your left brain controls logic. And it's our job to help them develop their left brain and also integrate that with their right, because that's really the only way for a child to learn how to use their left brain, is to integrate what they already know. So basically this book helps children understand their emotions and their logic by, say they had a traumatic experience, or even if it wasn't that traumatic, but it feels traumatic to them, because we all know how toddlers are.
Yeah.
So you come upon a situation, the toddler has lost it. They've lost their sense of happiness. They are just flailing and really upset. So basically, you help them get the story of what happened out and identify the emotion that they're feeling. And as they're able to tell you the story, and you're able to help them tell their story, they're able to process the logic behind what happened that made them feel that way. So that way, and then there's always a conclusion. So at the end of the feeling and the event that happened, was everything okay? Or what was the solution that made it okay? So from the book, there was a very traumatic experience that happened with a toddler. He was in the car with his babysitter who was driving, and she had, I think, epilepsy, and she had a seizure while she was driving. And he wasn't old enough to fully speak. He could say his babysitter's name, and he could say wee-oo, wee-oo for an ambulance. And so the accident happened, and he was okay, thankfully. early. And the babysitter was taken in an ambulance because of the seizure, just to make sure she was okay from that, because like physically, other than that, she was all right. But the baby, when the mom got there, he was inconsolable, and he just kept saying, Sophia, wee wee, Sophia, wee wee. And he was trying to tell his mom he was worried about Sophia because the accident happened, and then she had to go in an ambulance, and he didn't know where she was. So the mom knew what he was trying to say just by his emotion and by the words that he was able to say. So she was like, oh, you guys got into an accident because Sophia had a seizure, and Sophia had to go in an ambulance so they could make sure she was really okay, but she was all right. She's okay. Mommy talked to her. She's fine. So she helped him process the emotion. She identified that he was scared and worried about his babysitter. She identified that he didn't know where she was. And then she calmed him by telling him what happened. And basically by identifying with the emotion, you are able to get them to listen. And you're able to get them to tell a story. And the more you can do this for your child, the less reactive and the less energy they're going to put behind the reaction. For most things, obviously some things are very traumatic.
Yeah.
But like they're able to connect logic with, and that's basically the huge premise of the book, and it's amazing, and it's been working really well for Annabelle. Annabelle can talk, but she is somebody who needs to tell the story in order to process the emotions. I think most kids are.
Yeah.
All kids, according to the book. So helping her tell the story has actually reduced the amount of times that we need to talk about certain things, which is amazing. And she hasn't had very many huge high energy outbursts. And when she does, we're able to get through them a lot faster than an hour and a half.
Thank God.
An hour and a half can feel like a
lot. Yeah.
When you're tired at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So another part of the book, and this is going into another resolution. So basically that resolution for me is to put the practice of what they're teaching into everyday life with Annabelle as much as possible. So I sent the book to Mike so he can read it, listen to it, and then another resolution that's part of the book is making more time for fun activities with Annabelle, and making it intentional with friends and family, because the more good memories and the more good times you can put in there with yourself and your child, the more they're able to connect their logic to their emotions. It's just, I guess, part of the science of the brain. So I know
interesting.
And
the brain is so complex. It's so interesting.
It is. Even from early childhood.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are the two that I'm really focusing on with Annabelle.
Yeah, Hayden is definitely starting to do the whole thing of repeating things over and over and over again. The problem is that his vocabulary is still very limited, and so I don't know how. I know he's definitely understanding more than what he's able to communicate.
Right.
And so because you have shared this with me, I've also been trying to repeat back to him and as many times as he needs to hear it and to reassure him. I've been doing the whole thing, but it's he'll be for example, he loves wearing shoes. He loves shoes. I love that he loves shoes. I'm just I love that so much for me because I love shoes, and so it really works out. But he loves shoes, and he has to he wakes up, he's put on shoes, put on shoes, and so I'll go, he'll pick out shoes. It's usually these big clunky boots or something, and I try to push him into slippers, whatever. It's a whole thing. So we'll get shoes on him, and then 5 minutes later he'll find another pair of shoes, be shoes, but when he's asking for something, you can acknowledge it and say, yes, I'll put on the shoes, but then he'll be shoes, put on shoes, and you're yes, we're gonna put on your shoes, we'll put on. It's just oh my God, child, yes, I said yes, we're putting on the shoes. But I'm realizing that it's he is trying to, what I think is happening, he's trying to make sure that I understand, and he's trying to maybe get validation that this is actually happening. Right. And so I've been making a point to repeat back to him, reassure him, and do you want to put your shoes on? Okay. Yeah. And then he'll get really excited. Yeah. You know what's interesting? I don't know if this goes with this, but last night actually we went to dinner, and The service usually is amazing, but they were just really slow. The kitchen was backed up. They had several large parties, and so things were just taking extra long. And Hayden had actually had an afternoon nap, so he was in better spirits than he normally would be, but it was taking a long time. Like, this was truly testing this child's patience.
Yeah.
And he just all of a sudden like just decided he was over it. He was screaming, he was pulling a full-on fit. And so I immediately removed him from the situation. We stepped outside and I let him scream. We just screamed it out, and I just stared at him and I was just like, are we okay? Like, how are you feeling? Are you okay? No, just like wasn't hearing anything. And then I was like, do we need to go home? No. Okay. Do you want to go back inside and be a big boy? No. Okay. Do you want to go in and watch? Because I know this is horrible. People know screen time. You know what? You deal with a 2-year-old in the middle of like witching hour. I don't care. So I was like, do you want to go inside and watch Bingo? He calls Bluey Bingo.
Yeah.
No. And then I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, and I was like, do you want to go inside and watch Elmo? And he like pauses and he looks at me. Okay. And then I was like, are you going to be a good boy? We're going to go inside. You're going to sit down like a big boy and watch Elmo? Okay. I'm like, okay. So we go back and we literally went from like a huge meltdown screaming to going back inside. And my parents were just like, what the hell? Because he came back kind of partially smiling and like totally calm, like a whole new child. Sat him down. We set up Elmo, and to my surprise, he was okay not sitting on my lap. We put him right back in his high chair.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to eat his entire meal when he wasn't even eating before.
Yeah.
And because he just wasn't in the good headspace. And then he literally sat there for, we got an extra hour out of him. And he just sat there and he ate his meal, watched Elmo as happy as can be. And I'm like, and my parents are like, what did you do? I'm like, just don't talk about it. Don't acknowledge him. Don't look at him. I don't want to like jinx this. I don't want to set this off. I don't know what happened. But I'm sharing that to say, I think it was like, he just needed to feel understood. He needed to be validated. He needed to feel like he was being heard, like his little voice was being heard. And like he was able to, I think the fact that he was able to communicate to me what he was needing and what he was wanting in that moment. And then I understood, and then I was able to deliver, just like made him feel good and like comforted. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely goes a long way. It's just harder when they can't completely communicate back, and they're not supposed to understand reason.
Right.
But it'll definitely be easier as he gets a little bit older. But right now, it's just all about regulating those big emotions.
Yeah.
Big little feelings.
Yeah. There's a whole lot. There's a lot to navigate. And, you know, for him sitting in a restaurant that's taking a long time is like an entire marathon.
It was a lot. It was even a lot for me. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I know. We definitely had one incident on Christmas Day with Annabelle because they opened up all their toys in like this public or like place, and there's like lots of little parts to some toys, you know. And she was the only 3-year-old child. There was older and there was babies who didn't care about tiny parts.
Right.
And so Annabelle was the only one that had a somewhat eruption during this because of that. And so, like, she got her baby out, but her baby had a lot of little tiny pieces that could get lost. And with all the people and the hustle and the bustle and, like, everything going on, and she started to have a full-on meltdown because she was tired. She had opened up a lot of presents that she couldn't really play with.
Yeah.
This was the one present she was going to be able to play with, but then she finds out she can only play with the baby. She can't play with all the pieces that come with it because they would get lost. And so I took her out. I acknowledged the emotion. Like, you're feeling very frustrated. You're feeling very angry because you can't have all the pieces to your doll. And then she goes, yeah, I just want all the pieces. I just want to take them all out of the box. And she, like, told me what was going on. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, that's really frustrating, and it's really hard, and I totally understand that that's hard because it's a new toy and you're so excited about it. And she's like, yeah. And then we just waited a few minutes and she started seeing things in the room like, oh, there's something over there that looks cute, or like, oh, you see the flag? And I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, you know, Ivory's upstairs waiting for you. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, can we just play with your baby for now? And then as soon as we get home, we can open up the rest of the box. And she was like, all right. And so She wasn't the happiest, but she also wasn't having a full-on meltdown.
Right. Yeah, that's how Hayden was last night. I wouldn't say that he was like, you know, super excited about life in that moment, but he was definitely a lot better.
Yeah.
He was definitely way more reasonable.
And it's so good to do that because other people around them don't understand what's happening.
Right.
And they're giving them these looks. And it can come off as the kid is a total brat.
Yeah.
But it's because they don't understand the emotion that little baby is feeling on the inside. And nor should they have to, nor should they care. But we can definitely be their advocates.
Right.
In that situation.
Yeah.
Rant over. I just
Rant
love
over.
This book, and I'm like, I think about 50% of the way through. There's a lot of, it's easy terms, but it's also very scientific. It's things we don't think of on an everyday basis. So it's like really having to wrap my mind around things. But it's good.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll officially be 2025. The ball would have dropped.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch the ball drop from our location.
Yeah, the big sparkly ball. Imagine if there was like a set of 2 balls that dropped, and like every year you just waited for these 2 giant balls to drop.
That is like making me think of only one body part.
I know, it's so funny. It's like this long pole, and then you have these 2 dangly balls at the top just waiting to drop. That'd be so good. I wish that's what we looked forward to every year. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Your support is keeping the podcast going. You can help by following, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and especially by telling a friend to listen anywhere or watch on YouTube.
For more info, you can check out our website at geriatricmamas.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube at Geriatric Mamas, Twitter at Geriatric Mamas, and follow our group page on Facebook, Geriatric Mamas.
If you have a topic idea you'd like us to discuss, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can go to geriatricmamas.com and hit be a guest or send us your story. Bye-bye.
Bye.